Okay, computer audio. Hello, hello. I'm going to go in. Start video. Terry's iPad. All right. Got Mark and Iris and Terry. Nice. Welcome, one and all. Looks like some people are connecting to their audio, and I think I set it to not automatically default with video on, so if anyone's feeling modest and they don't want to show their face, Iris!
Oh, yeah. I'm
so good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
And so if your video is muted, you can unmute it in the lower left-hand corner. There's the audio and a video mute option. And you can, hey, there he is. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
So happy to have you join us tonight. And I was just, in case you haven't used Zoom, there is like in the upper right-hand corner, you can switch between speaker view and gallery view. So if you want to see different layouts of what everybody. All right, this is fun.
Yes, it is.
I'm so excited.
Oh man, how do you get the fancy background?
Oh, it's the virtual. It's just if you go into preferences.
Yeah.
Video set. Oh, if you click on the next to the little video camera, choose virtual background.
Yeah. So like, otherwise, I'd have to show you like my weird green screen setup in my basement.
Oh, I think I need a green screen to make that work, though.
No, you don't. It'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
See,
take a
look.
picture? Okay.
I'm in Hawaii.
That's all right.
Look at that. When is in Hawaii? Nice.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Do you prefer Abigail or Abby?
Either is fine. I usually do Abby though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but either is I don't care.
Welcome.
Right.
Thanks for joining us. And once we get everybody in here, we'll have to do a little round the horn and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, introductions, absolutely.
It's exciting.
And I'm gonna get this. So, Wendy, you talk for a minute. I'm gonna get this shared to our Facebook group. So.
Oh, okay.
If you hear me swearing, I'm just figuring it out. So I'll just.
Mike is he's the technical producer, so he's dealing with all the switching and. Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted. Still kind of figuring this out. I had
Fix that over here.
there we go. Sharon.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Welcome. Great.
Hey, Sharon.
You guys. I have been looking forward to this all month, I have to say. Getting some more people in. There's like a little virtual waiting room. I wish I could play music in the virtual waiting room. Have a little hold music going on in there.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So Sharon, you have the same problem I do. When you try to put a background on there, it kind of fades you out.
Oh no!
So, yeah.
Because I haven't upgraded to whatever the next Mac OS is.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the key.
Yeah, I'm still on Sierra.
Gotcha.
I don't upgrade until I have a program that absolutely makes me do it.
So I see Terry, but I don't hear I don't see you, Terry. I see that you're in here, but I don't hear you or see you.
I had my volume turned off.
Oh, there you are. Cool. I just want to make sure that we could communicate.
I'm just negotiating the internet.
Gotcha. And
We're all getting to be real pros at that at this point.
Honestly, isn't it crazy? Hey, Tim, welcome.
Hello,
Good to see ya.
as you.
Thank you. This is fun. This is starting to feel like a party.
No, we're not going to do that.
And Chelsea's in here, looking very stylish in her profile picture. All right, let's see who else is joining us. JD. Still learning this too a little bit about the like I was advised to use the waiting room because there's all these Zoom bombers that like somehow find your link and then crash your party.
That's actually big. Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
It's a good way to make new friends.
Right. It's as long as they're,
not a bad actor.
right. As long as they're not like just showing you their junk or something like that.
Oh.
Wendy, do you remember the days of the Google Hangout where it was, how long is it going to take for somebody shirtless to show up?
Yeah, because we used to do those. Oh my gosh.
Do I remember it? I'm still trying to forget.
We used to give a prize to whoever could guess the number of shirtless people we were going to get. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, you just
What was the top number?
I don't remember.
I mean, we had at least like 3. We'd have. I think the biggest one was we'd have 3, like dudes that would just like. It wouldn't just be shirtless dudes. Like there'd be some people that would just join. It was a public Google Hangout. They'd be joining it.
Oh yeah.
And it would just be like, hello. And then it was a
And it would just be somebody's crotch sometimes. Too.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No,
It was.
and you wouldn't know because it would kind of blink in, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Oh my God, Wendy, you froze right when you did that on my screen.
And because of your Zoom background, it looked like you were just being like sucked into the logo.
right?
oh my gosh. Well, Scott discovered, we were on a hangout with my family, and he discovered that you can make yourself disappear. It's a magic trick. If you drink. Oh, it's not working now.
You're not disappearing that well.
It used to cover up enough of your face that it would just make your whole entire person.
Is it because you're using a background?
Oh,
Yeah. What?
I figured it out.
Great. So, there's my boring background.
All right. Wow. No, it's nice to see everybody, and it's nice to see everybody on a Tuesday night. And the virtual backgrounds are fun, and everybody from home is fun. And I just hope everybody's like I said in the Sunspot broadcast before, like things are getting weird out there.
Yes. Oh, quickly, I didn't get a chance to welcome John and Lisa.
Hey, John.
And
Lisa.
Chuck. And now I can see Terry. It's good to see you. And that popcorn looks delicious.
Right. Terry, when Terry's done talking, she's just going to turn around and jump into it. Yeah! Just like I'm going to go, I guess, flying over the world like Superman 1.
Yeah, so we'll pretty soon, before too long, we'll do a little introductions here because I want to make sure that everybody knows everybody else. And we have so many new people, which
Yes.
is very exciting.
Right.
And then we have our regulars who've been with us for a long time and are wonderful. So thank you guys so much for joining our little community here. It's really, really exciting. And it's like, I'm not just saying this because you're Patreon members, but like I was really like each person that signed up, I was like, oh my God, I love that person.
Right.
So, I'm like, this is gonna be a good party. And it is.
Well, cheers.
Yeah.
Weird.
Cheers.
Okay, well, round the horn. Let's do quick intros for the people
Okay.
that are here.
You want to like call out names, Mike? Because I don't know how the order is for everybody.
Oh, well, I'm in the gallery, so I'm in the Brady Bunch view or whatever.
But the Brady Bunch view isn't the same for everybody, though.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh, okay.
Like the order of the people.
I'm on top. Obviously, I'm on top in my view, but who am I under in yours?
Both
No, I'm on
Wendy
the
and Mike
top
are on
of
top in
Wendy
mine.
All right, so I didn't know if I was like from the like, hey, or it's like the Hollywood Squares, and I'm the Jim
Hey,
J.
Mike,
Bullock. I'm
I've
the
got
Jim J.
Wendy
Bullock
here
Square.
and Michael.
That's
this-
a fantastic
working?
reference.
There's Wendy.
Wendy, punch the other way if you want to hit me.
There's Mike.
You know, 'cause now I'm thinking Mike. That's me.
Me, Wendy's jumping on Mike, so you know.
On mine, I have Wendy.
It's getting more and more awkward.
So let's start. So next to me, at least on my screen, is Mark Johnson from. Now, Mark, how are you doing today? Are you having a drink with us? Are you bourboning?
I am. I have a little Jim Beam going.
All right.
So,
all right.
Very nice. Lovely color.
nice
good.
rainy day in Minnesota. So
Okay. So yeah, it's oh man, it came down here today too.
Yeah.
250 miles away. Tim is in Illinois. He's a Mundeleiner.
I am.
Also
And
a drummer.
And a drummer and a very talented player. His band was called Silent Nightmare, and they played some good
You're awesome.
operatic gothic metal kind of thing. If I have that close to
Yeah.
what I think.
That's pretty. Oh, hey, look, Scott appeared.
Hey, Scott, there, Scott.
I should have gone like this.
And so, Tim, what are you sucking down?
I have a Whiter's Reposado cider here.
Oh, looks good. Looks good. And then next to Tim, I see we have Sharon Snyder, all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hello.
Minnesota representing tonight.
I was gonna say the MNs are in his house.
Yeah, I'm just doing Irish cream tonight. I was in a chocolate mood.
That
Okay,
sounds
right on. Well, that's a cocktail. Like I just opened the bottle and I'm like, I'm out. I opened the bottle to the finish.
It's just Irish cream.
Do we want to do a little mixer question thing? Like, what's your favorite
Oh.
unexplainable phenomena or
Sunspot song.
or Sunspot song? Yeah.
Good point. Mark, what's your favorite Sunspot song?
I like Stardust.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Very good. Tim, what's your particular? Which one do you enjoy?
So it actually changed in the last year, maybe longer. Time is relative. For the longest time, it was Guardian Angel, but ever since Wonders
Not
of the Invisible
Spark-
World
Spark
came
at
out,
all.
it's been Shadow.
Shadow.
Oh, thank you.
Good call. Good call. Now, Sharon, I hope you still like our band.
Who are you?
Right. Who are these assholes?
Room bomber.
I thought I was in a business meeting. Right? Yeah, I was in a what risky business. So Sharon, what Sunspot song do you like?
Depends on the mood. Pretend and Neanderthal are still on regular rotation.
Cool.
All right.
Hannibal. Pretty much anything though. I don't think I ever skipped them, and I would say if the Packers song came on, but that's the only Sunspot song.
That's fair. That's fair.
Don't own that.
With the Packers song, 'cause I'm out of here.
That would be the one Sunspot song that never made it to my computer.
All right.
I have to give Sharon a shout out because she's the one that introduced me to your music and your band. So
That's awesome.
That's right.
that was a long time ago.
Did you make it to our anniversary party, Mark, or is this sometime after that?
You mean the one when they were there?
When they played in our backyard?
No, I didn't make that. But
Well,
But we saw you at the conference.
Convergence.
yeah, you
one of those
Yeah,
conferences, right? Yeah. So
You know, the best part about Convergence is that that year, number one was drinking with the guy who used to write for Ain't It Cool News. So that was very exciting for me as a big dork.
Cargill?
Cargo, yeah. And he had written Doctor Strange. And I don't know if it was right before it came out or whatever,
Mhm.
but it was like, he was really excited talking about it. It was fun to talk to him about because Doctor Strange was a fairly unknown kind of he's not a big character. Let's say he's not
Right.
Spider-Man. So to get a movie, with especially Sherlock, the girls love Benedict Cumberbatch
that's right.
playing Doctor Strange. But I think my favorite was that Rick's he was handling King Ezekiel from The Walking Dead.
He was a nice guy.
2 weeks
And he was
before-
stopped at our table. Right, it was right before he was there, right before he premiered on The Walking Dead. He was at the table and he was talking to everybody. He was the coolest guy in the world. And then that's the one thing, all this stuff when I talk to my dad, he does not give a shit about anything we do. He'll come see the band and he likes the music or whatever. But when I was like he loves The Walking Dead. And I'm like, oh yeah, like we were hanging out with King Ezekiel at the table or whatever. He was a super cool. He's like,
What?
for real? He's like, for real? Like, yes,
Congratulations, son.
Awesome.
my 82-year-old father was finally impressed.
Well, the funny thing is the public announcement at Comic-Con was about 2 weeks later. So he didn't mention Walking Dead at all. He wasn't allowed to because it was still a secret. And then you know, he had his, you know, Teen Titans voice and stuff, and he was just an awesome guy. And like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, they have the trailer at Comic-Con, and, you know, King Ezekiel, and you see him, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, holy crap, oh my God. He's like, oh, thank God. I haven't been able to tell anybody. Sorry, wasn't supposed to tell anyone. He said I couldn't even tell my wife.
Oh, funny.
Oh,
Well,
that's gotta be hard.
And didn't tell his wife.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
How do you not let it slip?
Right. I was gonna say, like, remember that guy? Like, he's Ezekiel from the comics. Oh, so Abby, what's your favorite Sunspot song? No, you're not on the spot, but you are on the spot.
I really like "Eat My Heart Out."
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. And great shirt, by the way.
Neanderthal's a close second.
Okay, right on. Okay, we got to figure out a way to do. We already done "Eat Up My Heart" during the quarantine, but we have to figure out a way to do Neanderthal.
We were talking about that. I think like last week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Like,
the chat.
If
Was
Ben
that you
could
that
do like the
asked about it?
on a tuba.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him solo on the tuba.
Yeah, just let him have it. No, you don't understand. Like the thing is, like, I thought the tuba was just for dudes like bump, bump, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. But Ben can do some serious shit on the tuba.
Yeah, when he did that classical music a couple weeks ago on their Hangout, that was amazing.
Yeah. So he's pretty gnarly on that stuff. Okay, so John.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself. Now, John's coming from all the way on the East Coast.
Yeah.
He's
West New York, New Jersey, about 2 miles to crow flies from Manhattan.
How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Things are pretty crazy out there, huh?
Things are very crazy out here.
Yeah.
Just ambulances going around all day long.
Scary.
It's slowing down a bit. It's slowing down a bit, thank God. Well, the
And
problem is there's senior living just like a half a block away from me. That's why all the ambulances have been in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Well, in New Jersey particularly, they're getting nailed. I mean, that's where the
epicenter, kind of.
Right. Yeah, of the old people's homes. So that really is a tough thing. Really is a tough thing.
And you're able
John,
to stay home? John?
You're able to stay home?
Yes.
For the most part?
Okay.
For the most part, yeah.
That's good.
Relax, and just has to make runs to the liquor store every once in a while.
Yeah, a liquor store.
That's about
I
all
had
I
to
do.
eye doctor today. That was kind of frightening.
He's got a haunted liquor store.
I have a haunted liquor store. It's very cool.
Yeah. And we just have to share with everybody that John lives right next to a cemetery that's haunted. Right?
I don't know if it's haunted, but it has some awesome mausoleums.
Okay.
Including one that's shaped as a pyramid with like sphinxes out front. It's very cool.
And he's also an amazing photographer. So
Yes. So John shares his stuff in the Facebook group sometimes, and we all encourage. Like, it's really great photography.
Beautiful stuff.
Oh, and John, what's your favorite Sunspot song?
Mother of Time.
Mother of Time.
Oh, good
That's
one.
a good one. That's a solid pick.
That song was in my head the other day.
Hey, that's
cool.
Nice. It worked. Okay, coming down to the next on my Brady Bunch, I got Lisa, our ghost host with the most, right here out of Madison, Wisconsin. And Lisa also, she is a first responder. She's a paramedic and a fireman. And Lisa, how are things?
Well, they're kind of slow. I am currently at Station 12. So, Wendy, if you set your house on fire, I will come put it out today.
Right.
You guys should do that. Then you don't have to social distance.
Totally. Which is something you completely forget about at a fire, I learned the other day. Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
No, we're fine. I'm not going to complain. It's kind of slower because no one wants to go to the hospital. and that's good, but I knew this. We don't have tours. We're not doing inspections. We're not doing the little public outreach, which I'm oh so very good at and love. So I'm stuck with these guys all day. And the good news is today they wanted to hear haunted stories.
Hey.
So I did that for a while.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. The royalty payments will come through.
I think of it as advertisement. I tell them a few and say, come see me. Come
Your
see
tax
me.
write-off. No,
Yeah.
and if you guys ever come to Madison, Lisa's stores, she does a killer job. It's a lot of
She
fun.
is exceptional.
Lisa, what's your favorite Sunspot song?
Can I give you two?
Sure.
The more the merrier when it comes to our songs.
It is hard
I
to
was gonna
choose.
say, I bet Scott can pick Saturday Night,
Exactly.
Gospel,
Saturday Night Gospel.
and what would be my other one?
I don't know what the other one would be.
Spend the Night.
Oh,
Nice.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I forgot about that song. It's been 3 months to put it out, so that's all that comes out of my head. And coming to another Madisonian, we got Terry. Terry, how are you and George holding up? And how's that popcorn? Looks good.
We're doing fine. I need to make some popcorn because I ate the popcorn that's in the picture.
Oh my God.
Real life problems.
I was just thinking about you today, actually, because I was as I was going down my nostalgic, sad drive downtown and back, and seeing all the places that we're not going to be playing this summer, and reminiscing about concerts and things. I was thinking about you and George. You guys are so dedicated. You come to so many of our Madison things, and I was like, I miss them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in a long time.
We don't come to see you. We come to see Lisa.
I go to see them.
That's fair.
That's where we meet up and have a drink. You guys just happen to be there, so we act like we like you. Hi there, how you doing? Oh my God!
I'm glad we could provide that opportunity for you guys to see each other.
All right. So, Terry, what's your favorite Sunspot song?
Because Lisa and I are besties, I have to go with Saturday Night Gospel.
Saturday
And then I'm going
Gospel.
to throw Haunchyville.
Ooh, a deep cut.
Haunchyville, based on that's a fun one. Haunchyville, based on a place in Muskego, Wisconsin, that I've been to, and it's hard to go there anymore because the police.
Haunchies will get you.
The haunchies will get you. But this was this whole legend that, and the reason I learned about this because my friend worked at a supper club in Muskego, and one night he's like, "Well, you've heard about the haunchies, right?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, there's this road you go down in Muskego. It's a rural road. It's called Mystic Road, for fuck's sake." And
What do you expect?
there's this rural road in Muskego, and you go down it, and there's some playhouses back there that they're far back, so it looks like there's little houses. So there's this legend, and the funny thing is when we were doing research of it, we found legends from all over the country of angry circus dwarves. And it's in Cleveland, it's in Texas. There's one in New Jersey too, I think, John.
Yeah.
They call it midget
Very
village.
specific.
Midget, right. I just didn't want to say midgets or whatever because that's like dwarves are a thing, but midgets aren't.
They have an axe to grind.
Right.
I mean,
wow. Right. I can put the sound effects to the Facebook live stream. I can't put it to the Zoom.
I wasn't making it funny. I was just like,
It's
they have an axe to grind. They've been exploited.
circus little people. Right. They've been right. And so and then they had like a protector who was like a full-size person that would come out with a shotgun. So it's that idea. But one of the original
Is it just a popcorn, right? More on the front
one of the original stories that came from it was that there's a barn on Mystic Road, and inside the barn is where a farmer killed himself and was hanging from the rafters, and he's hanging, and when they found him, there were tiny footprints in the dirt below him because it was a dirt floor barn. There were tiny
That's creepy.
footprints, and there was a note written in his own blood, or in blood. Maybe not
I was
his.
gonna say, did they verify that? Was this like
Right, they didn't-
CSI?
They didn't check. Right. They didn't do the DNA search. They didn't send it in 23 and fucking me. But the note written in blood said the Haunchies made me do. And so that's the idea that the Haunchies were the vengeful little people of Muskego. And of course, right. It's creepy. Of course, it's all bullshit or whatever. Because it's a or is. But that doesn't mean that
Mike's over here doing the bidding of the Haunchies, trying to dispel everything.
Right.
That's that's okay. It's all true.
He's in the pocket of Big Haunchy.
All true. A Big Haunchy. That's a right. The Big Haunchy is a
like jumbo shrimp.
Oh, oxymoron.
There we go.
Oxymoron. Thank you. I'm just a moron. That's an oxymoron. All right. Hey, there's George. George
is getting lost in the.
George is in the background too, so it's like, who's that there?
Looks
in
like
the
a colonel.
popcorn.
Yeah, he's
way in the popcorn. Yes.
Who said he's the colonel?
Nice.
I love it. All right. Another Madisonian. We got Iris coming through.
Yay,
Iris
Iris.
and a talented vocalist.
Oh my gosh.
In her own right.
Iris. Thank you.
So, how are things going for you, Iris?
Good. I miss people.
Yeah. We miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing good. Hanging out with my cat.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Just keeping it together. That's important. What's your favorite Sunspot song, Iris? On the podium. She's on the podium.
I'm gonna say Arthuriana.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's a lot of people.
Good one.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of watch Wendy's violin solo kind of on loop for that song.
All right.
True. I'm sorry.
What? Why? It's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
We had a lot of good luck with Arthuriana in the past year because there were two England teams that went to Greece to play a football.
Right?
Soccer teams, right? Soccer, or whatever they call it.
Football, not American football.
Right, they call it that other stuff.
Right.
I was a soccer player in high school, so I can make fun. But yeah, so they had two English football teams go to Greece to play, and for all the ads for the TV coverage of it, Arthuriana was the song they used. All of a sudden, all these Greeks were like writing in Cyrillic on our fucking YouTube, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and thank goodness for the Google Translate because so it looked like a bunch of fraternities.
Right. We're being hacked by the frats.
And somebody said like, "Oh, love this song," and so I said like, I wrote back and I said, "How may I ask where you heard it?" And they said it was on this commercial, and I Shazammed it, and then I found it was you guys, and I was like,
That is so cool.
That was an exciting day.
I really hope the name of the British team that they were playing was the Templars, though.
Oh, nice.
That'd be awesome.
Wendy, every time you lean back, you disappear.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Thank you, reappear.
That was amazing.
That's great.
Chelsea coming in.
I don't know if I'll ever get old.
Totally.
Yeah. There's a whole new, like, instead of like Carrot Top and prop comedy, we do Zoom comedy.
Keep your heart out, Carrot Top.
It's like it was like when I worked at the TV station, and then on Halloween, the weatherman would wear like a blue suit. So that he would just like the head would just show up or whatever. He'd be like, "It's gonna be a spooky night," and I'm sitting there doing this like I studied film so I could work on horror movies, and this is the fucking closest I get.
Pretty horrible.
That's horrific.
Right. Chelsea coming in from Illinois, and that's in Centralia, right?
It's Salem.
Salem. Wow, that's It's way more evil, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Way. Not the good Salem, but.
Well, it never was the good Salem, which is why
Really?
why when Salem, Massachusetts is like, man, we were the witch capital of America. I'm kind of like, well, wasn't the whole point that you weren't the witch capital of America?
Right.
If you were,
because you're the ones that burn the witches.
right? Isn't it good you killed those people?
Yeah, they're little street signs with the witch on a broom, like.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that time we killed a bunch of innocent girls?
And then we fucking crushed that guy to death. The one guy
Stoned him
Yeah, the one guy they crushed him to death.
And they killed the dog.
by rock.
Oh wait.
And also the
Yeah.
fact that that wasn't really that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
Tatuba was a hell of a storyteller. But I mean, we did write an album called The Wonders of the Invisible World, which was an apology written by Cotton Mather, because the governor of Massachusetts was like, hey, we just killed a bunch of people. And like right afterwards, politically, they were like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. So he had this popular minister during the Great Awakening. He had this popular minister go out and write a "here's why we did it" kind of thing, and that's the Wonders of the Invisible World. So,
yeah, I guess like a justification, right?
Yeah. Well, it was totally like, Satan's there. He's all up in their guts.
In their guts. No, it's totally cool that we kill these people, even though we say thou shalt not kill.
No, I guess we're exploiting those girls too.
It's only fine when I do it.
Right.
We'll make it up to you by putting a statue of Elizabeth Montgomery.
Yeah.
Of Elizabeth Montgomery. That's the best. How did she do magic by wiggling her nose? Right. It was disgusting. When Elizabeth Montgomery did it, was sexy. What I just did looked like I was just. Nobody wants
my
to see
mouth
this shit.
wiggles. My nose doesn't.
Yeah, same here.
So, Chelsea, what's your favorite Sunspot song?
Sulfur.
Sulfur's a solid pick.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
have.
I like that song a lot too.
I have a playlist on Spotify that's just called Fun, and it's on there.
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
Glad we made the cut.
Thank you.
And great shirt, by the way.
Yes.
Yes, it looks good on you.
I from some cool people.
Actually, Sulfur was inspired after a conversation with another Illinois paranormal person.
Yeah.
The paranormal MD.
Oh yeah, Mary.
Mary Marshall, who her last name, she's not a fucking doctor. Her last name was just D when she was married. So she just used that as initials. But she does paranormal investigations, super interesting person. And she was one of the first people that we talked to who really was like, I had a demonic experience. And the only thing I really remember is sulfur, smelling brimstone. And so that led us to a lot more, like talking to a lot more people who smelled brimstone and sulfur in their own experiences. And I'm not just talking about people in my house after I have like a 6-egg breakfast. Right. So the stupid jokes write themselves. And last but not least, the Peter Brady in the list, Chuck from Louisville, Kentucky. Chuck, a paranormal explorer, author, cool guy. Chuck, how you doing today?
Is this working?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Chuck.
I'm tired. I had to move my office today.
Oh, I was
sorry
wondering
about
about your workplace was gonna be
We
operating.
took over another floor in our building, and I'm getting moved upstairs. My team is moving up to the new offices, but they're not ready yet. So I had to go take everything out of my old office. Some of it's here at home, some of it's still in the building. And then whenever this quarantine is over, I guess I'll move into a new office if it's done.
Moving on up.
Yeah. It's amazing how much crap you can accumulate in 5 years.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It is very.
You know, I've never really lived anywhere for 5 years. I've only lived like 2 to 3 years. So I have a chance. Like, we've been in this house now for a year, and you know, bought it, so hopefully it'll be a while. We'll see what happens when the economy goes to shit.
What about the Mineral Point House? Weren't you there?
I was there from 2004 to 2009, so I guess 5 years.
Oh.
Okay. Math.
I actually thought of you when I drove by that house, those houses today on my way here. I'm like, oh, Mike used to live there. I know one of them.
Yeah, no, that was a sweet place. We had big deck and a big backyard and stuff like that. And we had like a kiddie pool there for a while. It was a weird house.
It was like the halfway house.
It was a band house because it was all dudes. Like we wanted a place where we could party and not have to worry about neighbors and things like that. And so that's what we did for a few years. And then but guys would come through and like buy into their share of the house. So like Ben and I and our friend Dan got it. And then Dan got a sweet deal because he was an Iraq war vet. And so we didn't have to get PMI or anything like that. Yeah, so we got a VA loan.
But it was like dudes would go there in between college and then they'd meet somebody and then off they'd go and get married and like move out.
And they'd sell their share to somebody new.
Right.
Yeah, even though I was there once, I could never find it again because I was really drunk when we got there and really hungover when I left.
You might not be the only one of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't Neanderthal. It was
Singularity.
And
actually, that night, I left my phone outside in the snow, so I trashed a Treo phone that night, as well as someone losing their keys. I did not lose my keys that night.
Not that release party.
Not I lost at the slingshot effect release party. I lost my keys for 6 months, and Darwin at the Frequency eventually found them, and he's like, "I found these keys, and you're the only guy I know who loses his fucking keys. So are they yours?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they are."
You guys lose more damn keys in that band.
The van.
Yeah, the van is a key suck.
Next
that's why
we should just get like 20 copies made of the key.
And each of us should get one.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, I lost my keys again last month. So
you can put one of those finder things on them, like a tracker. Just saying.
Yeah, I bought a Star Trek one.
The GPS thing, like the
So it tells you the last place you left it. So
which hopefully is where they will be.
Right. You just don't lock the house. I could not tell you where there is a key for the house
or anything else.
Well, I ended up getting for locks in my house. Like once I knew we were going to live here for a while, I ended up getting locks that you can open from your watch. So because there've been too many times where I'm like, I can't. Look, where's this? I don't even know what key this is. If I go, Siri, open the door. For the love of God, please open the door. Do it. She will do it.
And obviously, Mike programmed that as the base setting, so he has to.
Oh shit! Like I just opened my door.
Everybody go to Mike's house. Where do you get Mike? Oh wait. Oh,
man, if I was home, I would do that.
I was gonna say, party in the basement. We can be 6 feet away or whatever. I got beer. I got surly beer.
Ooh.
Because
you also have a backyard.
I do. And so everybody, when they come to Madison, is welcome to come sometime.
Oh.
And after you put my kid to bed, then we can all go out in the backyard.
Do we have to be quiet?
I've actually had multiple friends with houses that have backyards. They're like, yeah, no, really, you can come hang out in my backyard and I'll yell at you from my porch.
like the retirement homes where the people go outside the window and talk to their elderly friends.
You have to do that. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. I've been tempted to do that with my best friend because she's got this really nice deck in her backyard, and we would always do deck drinking and then a fire at night, and like I just can't. So we just resorted to dropping stuff off on each other's porches. So, here, enjoy this 12-pack of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard thing. Like this whole, like we're used to human contact regularly, and so. Imagine, I'm just thinking about if this was college for me. Like I'd have 7 roommates.
Oh my God.
Who were mostly assholes. And like being stuck with them for several months, and that's all the people you see.
Oh my God. Although they told all the college people to like
go home to their families. Yeah.
Before things got like really intensified. I disappeared.
Yeah. That's it for Wendy. Well, it's been a good run.
Disappear a lot.
But it's
He's hosting quarantines by going into a different dimension.
Let me see if the drink thing. Oh, it works.
Well, that'll work.
Drink thing works.
It's a wine glass.
Oh, maybe it's the wine glass. There we go.
Wow.
Ow.
Problem.
You know, I gotta say a paranormal thing right now.
Ooh,
because there's a couple of things. So yesterday, and I think I saw Mark O'Connell write about this today. And Mark O'Connell, he wrote the Close Encounters Man, which is the not the autobiography, but the biography of J. Allen Hynek, who is the guy who is behind Project Blue Book. We've had Mark O'Connell on the podcast a couple of times. He grew up in, like with Allison and I, and our parents were friends at church. And he wrote a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine and one Next Gen episode. But he's a super cool guy, and he's super into UFOs. Like he was Wisconsin's like #1 MUFON investigator for a long time. And I think he might have a series coming. He's been really cagey about it, but he also had cancer. So like he just got over his cancer, and he might have like a series coming based on his Close Encounters Man book. So I hope so. And he lives in Fort Atkinson, about 45 minutes away from where like Wendy and Terry and Lisa and I live, and Iris. But he was saying today that when the Navy yesterday came out and said that those videos from that, in 2018 were in the New York Times, and Tom DeLonge's To the Stars Academy came out, as the Navy said, like, yes, they are unidentified aerial phenomena, and we're working on it, kind of thing. And then Harry Reid comes out and says, like, there's more where that came from. I saw everybody online today like, oh, the Navy admits UFOs are real. And it seems like this is a really great distraction for the conspiracy theorists.
Yes, it is.
So they're like, oh yeah. And also, when we're not thinking about weapons and fighting other countries, we're thinking about putting budgets towards, like putting money towards healthcare, putting money towards research.
Education.
So we don't have to do this shit again. All of a sudden, there's the military-industrial complex saying, don't forget, man, we got to fight fucking aliens out there.
You got a Space Force to build.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you think you can just focus on these earth-borne illnesses or whatever, don't forget, ET's out there, and he's going to phone your ass home.
Well, first off, didn't War of the Worlds tell us that we are more safe than ever, because if the aliens come down, they'll just get our virus.
Right.
But also, I do want to check in. Chuck, what is your favorite sunspot?
Oh, sorry, Chuck.
Yeah.
I want to tell mine too.
Also,
but...
yeah, because
Archaeopteryx.
Oh
Nice.
my God.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
That's like one of our few songs that are on my running playlist. Like I don't like to listen too much to our own songs, except some of them are kick-ass. But Archaeopteryx is on my running playlist.
It'd be weird if you didn't think some of your songs were kick-ass.
Yeah, but you don't want to talk about too much.
Writing them, right? Or sharing them,
right? But you don't want to just be like what Prince used to be. Like when people were like, Prince, what's your new favorite band? And Prince would be like, when I want to hear a new song, I write one.
I dare you to still like me,
Right. And then you're just like, well, it's fucking Prince, so I bet he can play all the instruments, so he doesn't give a shit.
No, but I think it's always exciting to hear like which songs people like.
Yes.
And especially, I don't know, just everybody has their own little thing.
Something
and so,
different.
I like so many, but every time I see you guys live, whenever you do the Eat My Heart Out, I'm like, yes, that's my song.
Well, what's yours, Scott? What's your favorite?
There we go. We got to introduce you.
Yes.
You didn't get to.
Yeah, introduce Scott.
Yeah, I'm Scott. I'm actually from where Tim is right now, Mundelein, Illinois. But obviously live in medicine now.
And
But
we're actually 6 feet apart. We're just really giant.
yeah, we are.
So 6 feet for us.
They have different cameras and they're
It's a
green
depth
screened
thing.
over a green screen.
Right.
But also, I do have to say, as a credit to Sunspot, the fact that it's not the same song being repeated by everybody is amazing. That we just constantly hear new favorites. And
Well,
that's
if everybody said Prozac Girl, I would have fucking quit already.
I love Prozac Girl.
I like it too. We wrote that song 21 years ago, so I'd just be like, okay, we gotta go. We'll come back. We write some good songs.
So that's actually interesting because I thought there was a good diversity across the group of songs across the Sunspot timeline.
Right.
Which is the newest album.
Yeah, nice variety, guys.
Yeah.
Props to you. Cheers. I'm gonna make myself disappear for a minute for that.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That one too. I'm like, oh, that's
yeah,
on my
for
list
me-
too.
My favorite one is Chariots of the Gods.
Ooh.
But and I love, especially live, Cannibal. There's so many great lyrics in there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, the puns.
You know, what's funny about Chariots of the Gods is that particular one, we originally wrote that as a song called The Choking Game. And it wasn't like a paranormal kind of song, but it was a cool vibe and like it sounded cool. So we were looking for different lyrics for it. And we knew we wanted to record it because we thought it had a great melody. But the lyrics were a little intense for what we were going for that particular recording. And so looking for an inspiration, I was walking around an antique shop. Like my wife and I were working on an antique shop in Minneapolis.
That's where all rock bands find their inspiration.
Oh, antiquing.
In the antique shop, we were looking for, I don't know what we were looking for. But we're just looking to do something. It was a Sunday afternoon. We've been day drinking. So we're walking around an antique shop. And then I saw on the, like in the books, in a bookshelf, there was Chariots of the Gods. And that made me think of my home because that was a book my father bought. And so that was in our book, Chariots of the Gods, the same version, like the same like first paperback version of Chariots of the Gods was in our bookshelf that was in that one. So when I saw that, I was like, I was finding syllables that worked with Chariots of the Gods right away. And so
That was your inspiration.
yeah, so like the next day I was like, okay, we can totally make the song work with a more paranormal bent. And also something that maybe more people have an attachment to because a lot of people have read or have watched Ancient Aliens, which is Eric Von Daniken's, that's his protege, that Giorgio guy. Like that fucking crazy hair, I'm not saying it's aliens guy, like actually is the protege of Eric Von Daniken. And so it just seemed like that worked out great. And in the end, like I think we got a lot more mileage out of Chariots than we would out of The Choking Game. So
That's more of a niche, I think.
Yeah, like and also paranormal versus something a little more edgy. If we were playing death metal or something, like you want to go for edgy because it kind of gets the people. But when you're doing pop rock, you just want to keep into things that are not necessarily transgressive for transgressive sake, but you want to be transgressive when you want to make a point. And there was no particular point. So let's go for a cool song that might make a point. Not that I can't appreciate transgression. You know, everybody likes big balls.
Yeah.
No, I love the sound of it, the tone of it. Chariots of the Gods. This is that I really want to make a music video. This one when we can be out and about in public and kind of want to have like a 1980s vibe to it.
Your headline.
I'm in.
All right.
Nice.
So real quick, the other thing I wanted to say about those, speaking of aliens, I was making a joke about those Space Force videos or whatever. They're like, hey guys, don't forget, we need your money too. Like, you're gonna spend $1 trillion on a bailout. Don't forget about the military. But also the fact that I think, and this is just me, Tom DeLonge is a patsy. And it's because there's a great Intercept article, I believe. Intercept is Greg Greenwald's, like he lives in, I think he lives in Brazil now or some shit like that. But he's like a WikiLeaks guy or whatever. But he's about as far left as you can go. But his Intercept thing did a whole thing on why, like, the To the Stars Academy actually might be being used by the U.S. military to spread this kind of alien information. And I totally believe it. That Tom DeLonge's like, I can get access. Like he's emailing Harry Reid. He's emailing John Podesta. All that kind of stuff that came out, you know. And it's the guy from Blink-182 that's doing it. And he wants to be accepted so bad, which you can't tell but listening to Blink-182's music, right? But he wants to be accepted so bad that he will take whatever the military feeds him and then say, like, here you go. And so I think he's a patsy on the level of Bob Lazar, or like I think he's spreading disinformation. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, related but separate topic. Speaking of celebrities that are in positions of unusual power or have unusual connections, with all the mystery over if Kim Jong-un is dead, has anybody asked Dennis Rodman yet?
Exactly. Interesting question, actually.
Right, because his answer would be a slam dunk.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, where's the rim shot?
Or the lead meeting now.
I don't really want to use the thumbs up or the clap. But
I'm just drinking more.
I have no idea how to work anything on here. This is my first time on Zoom.
Boss.
Oh, that sounds so tasty. We had that one. We had that one at your birthday party.
We did.
I've been there. They're cool people.
Yeah, the boss leader is fucking sweet.
And Iris, could you please introduce us to your kitty?
My kitty is Electra, and she's very upset because I need my arm free to hold the phone, and so she's really angry at me right now. She's giving me the sitting in front of me with her back turned, going.
I'm sorry. And Sharon had the cutest little kitty. Oh, look at it.
Oh,
that's the newer one, right?
Wow. And his name is Professor Charles Xavier.
Oh,
nice.
I usually call him Professor Charlie.
That's nice.
So we've got.
He's got to be like a year old.
Oh no, he was born January 4th.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been watching my cat shit right over there a couple of times during this conversation.
Oh, Abigail's got one too.
Oh.
This is not.
Yay! What was its name?
She was a stray, and I found her.
Wow.
What's her name?
Nala. I thought for a minute she was male, and when I looked at her, I thought Simba from Lion King.
Aww.
And then I realized she was female, so it's Nala instead. She's gone.
Oh, sure.
Actually, at the one of his litter mates was pre-named Simba, but it was a girl.
Oh,
yeah.
That doesn't look that well.
No, that's right.
So Nala.
When I originally got cats in the year 2000, I was living with a girl who had she should not have been responsible for another fucking life whatsoever, particularly a cat. So she said that she was going to go, like, we had some friends from Shawano, Wisconsin, which is all the way up. And she's like, hey, they had a new litter of cats. I'm going to go get one. And I said, that is the worst idea you've ever had. And I really was like, you should not, please do not go take care of these cats. So she went back and she brings back two. And she goes, I thought one for me and one for you. So so neither cat would be loved more or whatever. And I'm like, fuck me up the goat ass. Last thing I wanted was a cat, but she brought them. And so she brought the biggest one, which I named him Poe, and the smallest one, which was a girl, which she decided to name Maximus. Because she thought we just saw Gladiator, and she thought it'd be badass. And they continued, even when she was gone, they continued to be with me in my life. And I was correct that she was not prepared to handle any other life than that. So I mean, I love cats. I really do. I'm not. I wouldn't pick a pet. I wouldn't like. For me, I'm not interested in a pet. But when you have them, they are nice to cuddle with and stuff like that. So
When you want them to. Other times you're like, just go away.
Leave me alone.
I mean, I can see why you appreciate the love of an animal. It's just when I'm paying for a pet sitter, I'm like, fuck.
When it's the middle of summer and it's hot and I don't have air conditioning and she wants to lay right on me. No, you have to go away.
This one regularly has crazy time at 2 in the morning.
Oh, geez.
Nice.
Zoomies.
Yep, it's grab the mouse and run under the bed and over the bed and under the bed and over the bed.
Mine likes to meow 5 minutes before my alarm goes off.
Oh no.
Every morning.
Best 5 minutes.
Mine likes to murder mice when it finds them. It's Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock. He's the black cat crossing your
I
path.
have Mr. Spot.
He will murder a mouse and then play soccer with him. He can do the whole thing. Like he can juggle the son of a bitch. Like, and then he'll like pop him bloody as fuck, like at my foot and be like, "Hey, Dad, guess what I did today?"
Are you proud of me now, Daddy?
Yeah. Well, guess what you did today? You just had me go order a shitload of Lysol.
I once had a friend.
They do
who
that
had a
because
cat.
they think you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That is for sure.
I once had a friend with a cat, and she woke up. She was
You.
sleeping on her side like this, and she woke up, and there was a dead rat in her hand. The cat had killed it and delivered it to the owner. And she freaked out so hard, she fainted back away. But Terry, what's your cat's name?
This is Stunt Double Pixel. She's subbing in for Noodle, who is gone somewhere. Important things to do.
It looks like you plucked her out of the popcorn.
Yeah.
She would be okay with that. Where did your head? There's your head.
Get out of here.
She's the baby.
Aww.
Is that a Maine Coon?
No, she's a Chicago street cat.
So Chuck just asked a good question. Does anybody do your cats like see or react to things that aren't there?
Yes.
Mine is too lazy.
It's so scary when they do that.
Yeah, not yet. He's too busy reacting to things like that screw is a bug, that spot is a bug. Everything is a bug.
That laser pointer is a bug.
Yeah, there's too many real things that he's confused about.
On my old place, we had real cats and we had a ghost cat.
Oh, wow. So,
Did they interact?
yeah.
No, they didn't interact as far as I know, but it was just weird.
So would you do the ghost cat meow or?
Well, when we first moved in, we had a Maine Coon, and so I'd be sitting on the couch, and I see a cat move to the left. I'm like, and I look to my right, and Barky's sitting on the couch right next to me. I'm like,
that's weird.
Okay. And this stuff would go on. One time, we were leaving the condo, and I swear I see the cat walk away. And it's like, I thought you put the cat in the room with his water. And Elizabeth says, yeah, well, I did. We opened the door, there's cat. I swear to God, I saw the cat.
Oh, my God.
And then you'd be in bed at night, and you feel a cat walking across the... But then I look to my right, and Barky's sleeping next to my leg.
But
it was like weird. The cat
That happens to me sometimes.
That's cute.
Like, I think my cat jumped on my bed, but then she didn't. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to it.
I know, but then you'd hear the cat, like, you'd hear a cat in the litter box.
Huh.
I don't hear that.
Barky's sleeping next to my leg. Like, who the hell is in the litter box?
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
That was like weird. I mean, that went on for a long time.
That's wild. That's
cool. I lived in a house that was built in 1908 in Los Angeles, and the place was super haunted. It was at one point like a hospice home, so we have no idea how many people passed away in that place. But maybe one cat at least as well, because I was not there to see this, but I had two friends talking, and we also had a Maine Coon in the house. two friends were talking in one of the bedrooms, and a ghost cat appeared and jumped between them up onto the bed and then disappeared from the bed.
Whoa.
They both saw it. These two people didn't actually even like each other that much, so they were not back each other's story up normally, except that they definitely both saw it.
Yeah, you know when two people that don't like each other.
You're like, yeah, no, she ain't lying. Yeah. And I told a story on my Facebook streaming thing last week, and I won't tell the whole thing because it's long, but I was at a house that was having like a cleansing ceremony because somebody had a spirit attachment to them, and they were doing like the crystal Reiki type thing, and the cats were going crazy in the house. This one that would never ever come out, was a very skittish cat, came out. Some of the people that were there came there all the time. They didn't even know this cat existed because it was so skittish when strangers were over. But it came out and it saw something floating apparently, and then followed it over the corner of the room and stared up this corner in the ceiling for about 2 hours straight and didn't move again until the ceremony was over. So
I've been freaked.
Keep an eye on things.
that was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That's very creepy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken my eyes off the cat. What are they looking at? What's going on over there?
What is it seeing that I'm not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had cornered at least, I guess.
That's good. Yeah.
Mm.
Good question, Chuck. Yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
I feel like I used to babysit a lot when I was younger, and a lot of the people that I babysat for had pets, and a couple of them had cats that I felt were always like just looking past me, like you know, like what are you seeing? But
I leave the cats.
I got a few good ghost pets, especially ghost cat stories from our guests. One of them was in a group home where the cat died, but the cat would still run all over everywhere at night. They happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cat will go into the closet and just start randomly meowing really frantically.
Oh, wow.
Like, she can see out. It's not like she's lost.
Yeah. So what the heck is she trying to?
She was in Narnia.
I don't know. It's like, that's kind of creepy. Maybe stop.
Yeah.
You go get her out.
I actually usually call for her, and she'll stop and look at me, and then kind of come out. It's weird.
That's curious.
My cat's a straight up gangster. Like just murderer. Like he just doesn't give a shit. We got two. We got Mr. Spock and we got Zoli, and they will take you out.
Yeah, like the fact that it killed it.
I may or may not be back. Gotta run.
So, you know what we haven't talked about is any kind of paranormal TV or horror movies that anybody watched they particularly liked this month.
Yeah.
I watched your recommendation, Mike, The Martyrs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. I really liked it. It
So
was
did you
almost
watch
like
the-
watching
did you
two
watch the-
different movies.
Did you watch the French version or the American version?
The French.
The French version. Yeah.
'Cause that's the one you said.
Yeah. They made an American remake, and I don't think I've seen the American remake, but the French version, I was like, well, I've seen it once. That's enough.
It was so good. It makes you think, like, how would you actually be if that happened? Like, what? And then it turned into this whole big thing, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
What was that
Thank
called
you, Abby.
again?
It's called Martyrs.
Martyrs.
And it's very French.
La
When
la.
when it comes to like existentialism and and it's dark and horrific, but at the same time there's a lot of it tackles a lot of big questions.
Yeah.
And so you can appreciate that part of it, and then it's also like fairly scary. So it's like when people say, like when you said, like, because Abby comes out, she goes, "Hey, I want to watch a horror movie tonight. I want to be disturbed."
Yeah, I want
and
to
then I'm
something
like,
scary or disturbing.
because a lot of horror movies, they're just like sci-fi thrillers and things like that. That's great. Yeah. But if you want to be disturbed, you have to kind of get an existential horror.
Right.
To go with that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed it. It was like at first you're just like, and I knew that one thing. I don't want to give too much away because in case somebody wants to.
Oh, I'm totally watching it.
But,
Great.
Like in the beginning, like I knew.
Hug your cat.
Oh, I can't say that without giving anything away. I don't know how to put this.
It's just it's just worth watching if
Is
you're.
it on
Yes.
Netflix or what's it on?
It's
I had to buy it. I couldn't find it anywhere streaming.
okay.
I found a site that streamed it, but it only streamed like a half hour of it, and then it stopped. And I'm like, oh. So I was looking. I'm like, I gotta know what happened.
It's about 10 years old
bought
now. It's about 10 years old now, and there might be the English version might be in Hulu or something. I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
Maybe we could
But
try to find it.
French version is from 2008.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We could put it on our list for everybody to try to watch before.
Do a watch party.
Yeah.
Oh, movie for everyone to watch.
We could.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd have to have some like study questions, and everybody'd have to read a little Sartre. Like everybody, like for a warm up, read No Exit. Like so, like read No Exit, get through it once, and then you're ready for Martyrs.
That was required reading for me back in high school.
Oh, that's a cool high school. Well,
Same here.
Oh, that's true. Compared to some others, I will admit that.
If at least you're reading some Sartre, like when I think about the stuff we'd have to do for the existential, not the existentialists, the transcendentalists, and I think about how, like, when I was like, I remember when I was 11 years old, we spent a summer at the University of Berkeley, and my dad was doing some curriculum work, and my sister took a couple classes there, and she took a class in Emerson. And I remember thinking, like, she would talk about what she was learning in her class in Emerson, and I'm like, this is, I'm 11 or whatever, and like I'm interested in watching Married with Children, and I'm, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid, And then I remember, finally reading Thoreau and Emerson and all that kind of stuff.
Stupid.
Nice.
Part of it. You realize that Thoreau could just get, like, you're not living in Alaska, Thoreau. Like, you could have just, like, fucking Walden is not that far away.
You can still go to Walmart. Oh wait.
But I learned to appreciate a lot of what the transcendentalists had to. So I mean, the stuff that I thought would be stupid in high school, I eventually appreciated for having at least some kind of different philosophy. So I get what people thought about it. And so that's how I feel about some of the existentialist stuff. Like when you read Camus, you're reading A Stranger, and you're like, this guy's an asshole. Why is this guy such a horrible human being? And then you realize, like, that's the point. And then you realize, all right, everybody's just smoking and drunk in France in like 1940 anyway. So who's
Did you have to read Kafka in high school?
No, I read that because my sister recommended Metamorphosis to me, and I was like, I'll check it out. You got to read fucking Metamorphosis in high school?
I never got to read any of this stuff in high school. My high school sucked.
Well,
read
we were
Thoreau
just
in
talking
high
about this.
Nice.
That it's funny because I read all that stuff, and then like a lot of it was meaningless to me at that time because my young, inexperienced brain didn't get it. Like The Great Gatsby and stuff, I just read it a couple years ago, and I'm like, it makes so much more sense now. But back then, it was like, I didn't drink alcohol, I didn't party, I couldn't even drive, It was like, what, I can't relate to this.
Yeah, I had that experience with The Great Gatsby. I read that in high school and hated it. And then I just recently read it and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Now it makes sense.
Still never read that one. I never had to in school.
Yeah.
I should probably just.
It's much better when you're older and actually have experienced the
Sure.
life sucks thing.
Yeah, I think teachers didn't coordinate well because I think I read Huck Finn 3 separate times.
Boy!
Poor lady.
Yeah. You just recycle your papers then. So
I did.
works. Yeah.
That's been added to them.
The hardest thing about Huckleberry Finn, and I think we've talked about this before, but that's the reason our song, No Place Like Home, like, I'm the greatest book you ever read, whose ending sucks. That's Huckleberry Finn. And even Mark Twain knew it. because it took him years to finish the last like 8 chapters of Huckleberry Finn. That's where he ruins the character of Tom Sawyer. Like he does all these kind of things because he couldn't figure out a good ending. And then so he just like shits on the end.
He just gave up eventually.
You have this amazing story where he's just like, I don't know how to finish it. Oh man. And then he's like, well, screw it. Like Tom Sawyer is gonna make Jim suffer. This guy's already suffered. And then he's gonna make him suffer, and then we're still gonna think Tom Sawyer's a hero at the end? Bullshit. So yes. Anyway.
I just figured out how the chat worked. Sorry. I've never been on Zoom before.
Oh, that's all right.
Congrats. Good job.
Nice.
I don't have anything to write, but
I've seen The Kingdom. That was from.
Speaking of like Lars von Trier.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that was weird.
Speaking of weird, disturbing, weird, like The Kingdom. Yeah. Stephen King recently was involved in a remake.
Yeah, what Kingdom
Hospital? It was weird.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but the original The Kingdom, that's the Danish like subtitled miniseries, is beyond like yeah.
I feel like foreign countries do horror better than America.
Yeah.
I think it's because of actors, and this is what I think about a lot of foreign movies is that you watch a movie where you don't recognize the actors, and then you don't know where it's going. Like we have all these preconceived notions where we see now, like 10 years ago, been Brad Pitt. 20 years ago, it would have been Alec Baldwin. Now it's, Chris Hemsworth or whatever. Maybe Alec Baldwin's not buff like those motherfuckers, but you know what I mean? Like.
Hey, he was pretty nice back in his day.
No, good looking guy, no question. I mean, he was good enough for Kim Basinger before he fucked that up.
Yeah.
But leading men type. And we watch them. We know, we expect what's going to happen in the film. When you watch a foreign movie, like all of a sudden shit takes a left turn, and you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Scary because you can't understand what they're saying.
And also, if you guys watched Narcos on Netflix,
I haven't.
Yes.
So it's fantastic. But the guy that plays Pablo Escobar, he's actually not. He's Brazilian. So he speaks Portuguese, so his Spanish accent is horrible. So there's a lot of people who were talking about Narcos that were like, it's a really good show, and that actor's really good. But, man, his Spanish is horrible. And you're like, what? But it's that thing is that it's a foreign language. It lets us appreciate their body language more, and the idea of a film is, right, that they say that if – you should be able to watch it and kind of figure out what's going on without knowing what they're saying or the dialogue. And if you do that, then you know it's a good film, because if you can only know what's going on because of the dialogue, then you might as well be reading it.
That's a really good perspective. Again, you with the perspectives tonight.
I always figure.
Right, I'm giving out the college 101. My understanding of things is super basic.
I always figure by the time I'm going to see a foreign film, it must be really, really good to wind up somewhere I would find it. So the ones that we actually get are the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
The really good ones. Because I'm not going to go digging for a foreign film.
Right.
I do love them. If I see them, I've never seen anything with subtitles I haven't absolutely loved. But by the time you're talking about the show, it must be great that I've heard about it or it's presenting itself somewhere. It's the best.
Has everyone seen Parasite yet?
For Parasite to come up. We haven't seen it yet.
I've not.
It's on food.
This is the third time I've heard of it this week, so I apparently really have to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parasite? Well, it just won. It just won a bunch of Academy Awards, and
picture.
Right, and that means something.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So it's gonna be pretty good, unless it's the English fucking Patient, and then you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Platform was actually really good. I watched that one on Netflix. That was kind of disturbing, make you think kind of movie. It interesting. I liked it.
Okay.
You know,
Train to Busan, if you haven't seen that, that's really good. It's a
Say that
Korean-
again?
Train to Busan. It's a Korean.
Oh yeah, it's kick ass.
Train to Busan. Okay.
I listened to a podcast about it, so I know.
Yeah, they're making an American version of Train to Busan, but it's going to be
It
hard.
probably won't be good then.
Well, the thing is that
There's a sequel coming out.
Animated prequel.
in Korea, like they have a different relationship with trains and stuff like that than most of us have in the United States. So it's going to be hard to make a U.S. version of it. But just watch the original because it's fucking sweet. Like it's sweet.
The host
Train to Busan? Is that?
Train to Busan.
Busan.
Yeah.
Busan. Okay.
It's like
try to remember
action.
that.
It's like action horror.
Okay.
The host is really good too. If you like giant monster movies.
Who doesn't?
If you're here, you're probably in. You know what? Movie that I really loved that both the English and the European version was Let the Right One In.
Oh yeah.
And like
was
both versions were fantastic of that.
Those were good.
You know, I love slow burn movies. I love slow pacing movies, but I thought the original was a little too slow for me.
I can see that. Like it really did. It was like an hour and 10 minutes before anything happened. But then, fuck.
Yeah.
But it just was like that kind of thing. Like brought the vampire. Like it put a new spin on the vampire.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that when there's a new like way to represent like the things that you've seen 100 times. I like when they come up with a new way to represent it.
Well, the idea of having this like eternal monster in junior high.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect. The eternal monster in junior high. It's like this is what it'd be like if we had a friend that was a fucking vampire when we were 13 years old.
Yeah, I like the
brought up vampires.
I couldn't bring myself to watch the American one because I'm like, there's no way it's going to be good because American remakes usually suck.
Yeah.
Chloe Moretz Grace is just she's great.
You love her.
I like her.
Yeah. Even though in the original story, the idea is that it's not a woman, but it's a emasculated boy, which is why you have this weird scene of a removed penis. I don't know what the best way is to say that. I don't know how you say like it. But the thing is that the sexual politics don't matter because it's just the way that people feel it. Anyway, it's well done. That's all.
And there's an English movie called Ghost Story that's really good.
Oh,
What? We've seen movies called that. Is that the one with Martin Freeman?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Martin Freeman.
Because there's an American movie called Ghost Story has nothing to do with the English movie called.
No, but it's also good.
Yes, and Peter Straub is from Milwaukee.
Okay, I don't know who that is, but okay.
He's the guy that wrote Ghost Story.
Ghost Story.
Oh, okay. Well,
And then he did a bunch of stuff with Stephen King, like Peter. So he wrote Ghost Story, which was a cool book, and it was made into a movie in the
Which has nothing to do with the book, pretty much.
Right, it's different. But the reason the movie was interesting was because they picked all these actors from the 1930s who were super old.
Oh, that's cool.
And
that
then-
was a good movie. That's an old one. Yeah, I saw that.
An old one,
Yeah.
1982, I think.
Yeah.
81.
And
Yeah.
Alice Krige, the board queen, plays like the femme fatale in that movie, and she takes the top off. And why I remember that is because we were watching this on our VCR. We're watching this on our VCR at home, and my mother's like,
your VCR.
My mother's like, Bob, fast forward this. So it always fast forward past like a titty scene. My dad was like, what? Ah, okay.
Can't you just cover his eyes, maybe?
Right. They always fast forward past the titty scene.
Hey, we got a new mom's eyes because she's the one that didn't want to see it.
It was very, it's usually gratuitous. that was very like until Game of Thrones, you didn't have titty scenes that were actually integral to the plot.
That show.
Game of Thrones made it so it'd be like, well, you're not going to understand the show unless people are naked.
There was a lot, especially in the first season. It kind of dissipated a little bit throughout the seasons,
Sexposition.
but
It
That's 'cause they had
dissipated
more,
once. It
negotiation
dissipated once the actors renegotiated their contracts, and they're like, "I'm not going to take my kid off anymore."
can I please stop showing my boobs, please?
Hey, real quick, we got a latecomer, Eric. Thank you for joining us.
Hey!
Since you missed the intros, we want to make sure you get a chance to say hello to everybody. We did a little round robin thing where we all introduced ourselves and we said what our favorite Sunspot song is. So maybe you could.
Oh, sure. Oh my God, favorite Sunspot song. God, it changes week to week. I would have to say right now, it's probably Shadow. I'm really digging.
Yes.
The first repeat.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a tiebreaker.
Awesome. And
Eric, how's your basement?
Oh, it's a small river, you know. It's doing good. I'm thinking about putting some koi fish down here and just making it a
Can we go tubing?
And the other important question, what are you drinking?
Yeah.
What am I drinking? I am drinking some Bullet 10-year bourbon.
Ooh,
Good choice.
It is a special occasion.
Yeah. We're glad you could join us. Good to see ya.
No,
Cheers.
that didn't work for me.
I'm going to make myself vanish. Watch this.
Wendy, you've been doing
wine.
that constantly. And for sometimes on my, I don't know if it's like this on everybody's, but all I can see is just your hair and nothing else.
It's just a weird spell that's cast on me when I'm in the Hangouts. I don't know. All of a sudden, I'm just like, I gotta go. Woo!
It's just been CGI. Spoiler alert.
Hey,
They're back.
Lisa's gone. Did you start your house on fire? Lisa's gone. Is your house on fire?
No,
you hear sirens.
I need to get the bell just to get her over here, but we're not on fire.
Right. You just call it in and be like, 911. The only person that can tame this fire is Lisa Van Busker.
I always feel safer when I know she's working at the our neighborhood station. So
she cares.
We can cook whatever we want for dinner tonight. Oh, but I was just gonna say, speaking of vampires, Scott and I have been watching What We Do in the Shadows and the TV show. And if you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, please do yourself a favor.
It's on Hulu, and we're in the middle of season 2 right now. Season 2 is currently on, so you have a full season to catch up on.
It is joy. It is just
So
pure
good.
joy.
It's the best show.
The movie was good too. If you haven't seen the movie,
Yes, I love the movie.
I've heard of this. I've not watched it. I am looking for new stuff to watch. I'm really bored with everything.
It's like the family of vampires that basically live in New York, and they like.
Or Staten Island specifically.
Oh, sorry. Yes. But they do like they're just they're living in a neighborhood, and they do normal stuff like go to the convenience store and like.
But then there's other stuff.
Yes,
the original movie is based in New Zealand, and it's Taika Waititi, the guy that did Thor 3. He also did that new one,
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit. And
He's a voice of one of the droids in The Mandalorian.
Oh.
Yes, he's. Yep.
You mean the Baby Yoda show?
Yeah, that's right.
Yoda show.
So Taika Waititi directed it, and it's got Jermaine from the Flight of the Conchords, and it's got Murray. He shows up for a little bit.
The best movie.
But the original movie was based on this idea because they wanted to do a parody of paranormal reality shows, and it was supposed to be called So they're all New Zealanders. It's supposed to be called Wellington Paranormal, and that kind of didn't work out. So they just took like the vampire characters they were going to put in that into What We Do in the Shadows, which is the story of vampires in Wellington, New Zealand, and it's ridiculous and it's crazy and it's fun.
And the TV show, they're in Staten Island, and they're like, there's a documentary crew following them around, so there's a little bit of breaking of the
fourth wall. Yeah.
It's
just the opposite vampires.
And Doug Jones plays kind of a in the first season plays kind of a Oh gosh, who's the Nosferatu type of character? It's just he's amazing in it.
My husband and I want to be Nadia and Laszlo for Halloween.
Nice.
Oh, we were talking about that.
We've been looking for every episode. We're watching for possible Halloween costumes. Yeah.
If we're able to do anything for Halloween, they keep pushing everything.
Hey, nothing's gonna stop us from dressing up.
Yes, we're dressing up right here in this hangout, no matter what happens.
Are we gonna do a Zoom Halloween costume party?
Oh yeah.
We might have to.
We might do one even before Halloween, just cause.
Oh, okay.
But also the thing is, like, you know, somebody was talking to me that like yesterday, and they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm trying to work on plans for August or whatever, and I'm like, there are no plans for August. Like, who knows? And it's like, well, it doesn't matter if it does matter what the government says. It doesn't matter the whole thing
matters.
Like, I get it, you know, especially people who are jobless, who you work at a bar, you work like, or your bar's going to close down and they can't afford. I get it. Like, those things are horrible, and this is going to happen. But there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it hit me. JJ made a post a while back saying like when or if McCullough reopens.
Oh no.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
And this is just what's happening now, and whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, all those kind of things. Like, you have to divorce yourself from the idea of this is a just, unjust, any of those type of things. Things are happening, and we can do what we can do every single day. And the best thing we can do is be good to the people we know and the people around us, and just try to hang in there. So it really is like when somebody's like, oh yeah, this is what I think we're gonna do for August. And I'm like, am I gonna be able to leave my fucking basement in August?
Mike, I just now I really wanted to hear the like after school special music playing behind you talking.
Now when I just hear people talk, I'm just like, there's no, but the thing is, nobody still knows what's going on. Like, that's it. There's
Right.
nobody
Nobody even knows anything about what the virus does. Like, we don't know anything. So what are we gonna, like, you can't plan.
How can you even know if the millions of people who've had it already are immune?
The models are nuts. The model, like a week ago, the models were like, yeah, less people are gonna die. Then today, like, oh no, more people are gonna die.
More.
A month ago, like, there'd be 1 million people. You know, like, all that's changing all the time. So the thing is, you just do your best to deal with the situation you have, and then that means that future planning means we might be having a Zoom party where we all dress in whatever the fuck we have because there's no Halloween stores open. So
get creative, right?
Right. So I'm just gonna be the birthday suit guy.
Going, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And the thing about Zoom though is that there's a special attachment like this. You can buy a special thing that makes you look better endowed.
What?
What? Just
Like
what I
what?
heard.
Well, I suppose nobody is wearing masks on Zoom.
Puts,
What are you saying, Mike?
all I'm saying is, if I put a green sock on my dick, it's gonna be a sweet Halloween.
Okay.
I want the real life app that just makes me look better all the time. Where is that?
That might be one of my favorite quotes ever.
But
oh
I think you got that on your tombstone, Mike.
they have something.
I know what I have on my tombstone. Pepperoni.
Boom.
Oh, that's a very Wisconsin thing, because Wisconsin is the frozen pizza capital of the United States.
Really?
Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. More frozen pizzas are made in Wisconsin than any. And part of Tombstone, I mean, that was like the Tombstone group, and then there was another pizza group from Eau Claire, and so Wisconsin eats more frozen pizzas than any other state.
They
like, per
manufacture
capita.
more because they have more cheese. That's like a primary ingredient. In it.
That's because
I
they're
eat a
making
lot of
frozen
frozen.
pizzas at
Frozen when
bar
you have
pools
Ian.
at 1 in the morning.
Yes.
Bar
Ian,
pools at
Darren.
1 in the morning is where all those frozen pizzas are coming from.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it disproportionately thrown off by the bars per capita in the state?
That's true.
I got family from Texas, and they come up here and they're like, "You have more churches and bars than any place I've ever been in my entire life."
Great combination.
Got to come up here, Hudson County, New Jersey, go to Hoboken. go to Benny Tadino's.
Ooh.
It's popular to take a picture of your baby next to a slice of Benny Tadino's pizza.
All right.
Christening, huh?
I swear to God, these slices are like this big.
That's amazing.
If I had a nickel for every time I said I could eat a baby's worth of pizza. I mean, that's
It's like the La Bamba's burritos bigger than
As big as your head.
Yeah. That's great.
And Benny's is the real deal. Totally mafia connected.
We would expect that. I mean,
back when I was going to college, back when I was going to college in the 80s, we went to Benny Tadino's on a Sunday night. Benny would be sitting in the back table with a couple of guys with like $3,000 suits on, speaking in Italian. And you know they weren't trading recipes.
it was a business meeting. The family business meeting.
We're down there shaving garlic with a razor blade.
That even happened. That happened to us though, in Madison one time. Because there is a at Legends on the west side.
Yeah, it wasn't Italian though.
No, it wasn't. It was like the Armenian mafia. It was like the scary mafia.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's the mafia that you could like beg to. The Armenian mafia is like, life is cheap in the Balkan countries.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The guy was totally like making.
Everyone was wearing gold chains and track suits for some
Kind of,
reason.
yeah.
Wait, isn't that the Russian mafia? The gold chains and tracksuits.
And these, well, right. These were like the Czech. I don't know what country everybody's from, but so the guy that
Eastern European.
the guy that owned the place, his name was Dooley, and I knew his son had gone to prison. But oh yeah, no, I'm Facebook friends with his son. We were, so the thing is, like our friend Michael, who's like he's a booker around town. He plays in a country band that Wendy and I play with sometimes. He books our show at this place, and we show up, and Dooley's like, I don't have a band booked for tonight, and I'm like, man, we got a band. Like we're here.
We had
like, we
spent
got all our shit.
so much work like promoting that show and telling everyone we know. We had a friend who's like having their birthday party at the show. You know, it was like
we didn't make it up.
No, all right, of course not.
But can I just preface that because
please,
because I went to deliver the posters, you know, a few weeks beforehand, and as I do, I brought the posters and a contract, and I was like, I went in, I'm like, oh, hey, I brought the posters, and, you know, I just have this contract. And it was the son that was working that I didn't know had been to prison because nobody told me. And he just looks at me and he goes, I ain't never signed one of these and I ain't doing it now. And I'm like,
Boy, what a good Russian accent that was.
well,
he's just been raised here, so he's not even.
All right.
but yeah, they didn't have accents. But he was like,
Dooley had an accent.
And I was trying to be nice. I'm like, well, but this is just like make sure that we, you know, to you guys, we don't stand you up, and it's like protects everybody, and it's just, you know, it's like a formality that we have. And he was just like, I ain't signing that. I was like, okay, like what the hell? It wasn't even like. So that was my warm welcome.
So we're there, and this isn't the first time we played there. You know, this is like the third time we played at this bar. So like we know the bartenders, they're very sweet. Like you know, I know Dooley, and he's like, and because I played there with the country band, and I played there with our band, and he's like, hey, I said no band, and I'm like, well, we're here, and our shit's inside, and he goes, hold on. He goes over, and there's this table full of these old motherfuckers, and it looks like it looks like a mafia conference, obviously. There's all these old guys like sitting around. They're dipping foods I don't know in the dips I don't even understand. And, you know, and they're all looking sinister as fuck. And then he comes back and he's like, you can play. But, and then he's like, for $100 less than what we'd signed for.
But also, this was after he had alluded to another club down the street that had a hip hop show, and he was throwing around racial slurs.
Oh, yeah,
he was
like,
And he was like talking about how that wasn't going to happen at his bar because he's packing heat, and he was basically like telling us all about his guns and stuff. So this is like as we're trying to like persuade him to let us have the show.
But
like, okay.
He showed me
Sounds
the
like
gun.
he's about to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah.
Like,
He showed me the gun.
No, he did not.
Oh my god!
No, he for real. He was wearing.
like,
Wendy, you were right there. Weren't you right there?
I did not see any gun. I heard him. He talked about and was basically threatening about the gun, but
He had
I did
a-
not
he had-
see a gun.
He had a gun in a holster right there. Like it wasn't like outside or whatever. Like it was inside his coat.
But that was before the concealed carry law was like in place.
he had guns on this side and
I'm
fake
sure
Rolex watches on the
he
other
did not.
side. Or what?
He did not worry about. And I'd been in that guy's bar, so I know he didn't worry about weapons. But the thing is, he was just like, because he was like, I'm not gonna. So what he says is, he throws out some racial slurs. I'm like, fuck. Like we don't even want to deal with this guy, right? But
Seriously.
we had a contract, and we also
You had
needed
a
to
job
eat.
to do.
No, you didn't.
And right, we thought we had a contract, and so he says that and he goes, "But I don't have that kind of problem here." And then he opens, and there's a fucking gun right there. And the idea is that he's going to shoot anybody that's in trouble or us if we don't agree to losing $100 in that show. And I'm just like, great. We'll sit up in the corner. And that was, that was it. I mean, this show's
What are you supposed to do? Yeah, you
Right.
bought to
Yeah,
have
you-
it, and then
right. All our shit's already inside. The guy's like, "Oh, there's no band tonight." Oh, but don't forget, I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna say
Well-
some racist Eastern European shit, and then I'm gonna kill you.
And meanwhile, like our friends were already at the bar, warming up, having their little birthday party and having a good time. And so we're like, well, we don't want to kill their nights and be like,
Yeah.
here, I mean,
Oh man.
yeah, it was.
But then there was the time in New York where we completely played for a Russian mafia money laundering operation.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
this was at a place called Desmond's. It was an Irish bar right in Manhattan.
oh,
You can't make this stuff up, honestly. It's true.
And so we get there. It's a Saturday night, and this is a tour that we'd gone 4 nights. So like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we went from Wisconsin to New York, and then drove back on Sunday. So Wednesday was in Chicago, Thursday was in Detroit, Friday was in Toronto, and Saturday was in New York City. And we're like, this is gonna be a fucking sweet, weekend, and it was a sweet weekend. And then we get to New York City, and we play this place called Desmond's, and they get all Irish bartenders. This is an Irish bar, but the people running the music part in the back room
And the bouncer.
and were Russian, and they said they were gonna have 2 local bands opening the show, and then we play. And we go there, and there's like free beers, and it's fun, a good night. We have a whole bunch of friends there, and people coming from different parts of the East Coast, and we're like, this is gonna be a really good night. We go in the back, and the first 2 bands cancel, and the sound guy, Sasha or some shit, just pick out a fucking Russian as shit name, like Sasha.
yeah.
Vladimir, Sasha, Ivan, I don't give a fuck.
Natasha.
It was Natasha, the sound guy.
Yeah.
The dude's name.
He's like, hey, first 2 bands cancel. What are you gonna do? And I'm like, usually when the sound guy sees the first 2 bands cancel, he shits his pants. He's like, there's gonna be nobody here. All the locals are gone. You're in fucking New York City, and you're from Wisconsin. And how are you gonna make any money tonight? And he's
Usually
like,
the hatred is so strong from the sound
Yeah.
guy at that point. You're like,
he's like,
don't even want to bother.
whatever. And then we go play, and our friends had a great time. And it wasn't like a shitty show. Like there were people there, and it was all right. But it wasn't the kind of show where you make money after expenses. So then when he throws us a bunch of cash at the end of the night and says, hey, good job. We're like, what? we expected $0.00 because I don't think, even if you had 30 people pay the cover, it wouldn't be enough to cover a sound guy
They charge you for the sound guy
in Manhattan on a Saturday night. And then they give us a bunch of money. And those guys are like, great, good show. And they just go off. And then we end up probably spending most of the money on drinks.
Absolutely.
And we partied till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Burger earlier,
as you usually do.
And then we drove back to Wisconsin. No, you couldn't find a hotel room in New York that night, and then you couldn't find a hotel room in Pennsylvania because of some like the Poconos 500 or something.
Yeah, it was the Pocono
some
500.
race.
Oh.
There was
What
a
is
race.
that?
It was some race we could not find. We like slept in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, we stopped at every single hotel and motel.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Yeah, Pocono is huge.
We left New York City at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were in Madison by 10 p.m. the next night. So let's say how.
Wow.
But it wasn't until like a couple months later that we're like,
Never mind.
why do we get paid? Oh, it was the fucking mob front. It was the total mob front. It's how we got paid and had a great night. Because they were just like, hey, fucking Wisconsin band, we could like launder a whole bunch of money through that. And they did. So basically, we're on the payroll of the Russian mob. So don't fuck with us. Otherwise, like Dooley, you know what happens.
Did you call and ask if you could come back?
Well, actually, the funny thing is I was watching a video, like a guy who was doing like scotch testing, and he was doing it from Desmond's. And this was like a video that had like 1 million hits. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that room and stuff. Next time we went there, we wanted to go to like more of a dive club or something that would be more appropriate. Also, we were hoping to play with some locals. So we were hoping to go to a place that would actually have people that we didn't have to bring. But it was just a ridiculous night.
Here's my new theory. Those other bands that were supposed to play earlier, they got there too early and witnessed something, and then they were made to disappear.
Oh yeah.
So they're probably just paid not to even show up.
Right. That's the That's the laundering part of the deal.
Right. They were from different gangs and killed each other.
They're just on the books.
How do we get to the band that gets paid not to show up?
But I do have to say, though, the disclaimer here is that the reason we played at that place was because there was a musician that we had met touring at some other point earlier who lived in New York City and told us, like, don't go to any of the, like, pay-to-play places. He's like, go to Desmond's. It seems like an unlikely place for a rock bar, but, like, there's a lot of locals, and it's, like, you'll have a crowd there and stuff. So, like, it was a reference, it was recommended to us by another musician.
References on the payroll of the mafia is what.
Yeah, I don't remember that like being recommended at all.
Yeah, it was Dan. Dan
we met him at the Mercury Lounge, right?
But you did say you weren't expecting to make any money, and you did, right?
No, it was fucking great for us.
It was
I had I think one of the best nights of my life there.
Trust me, it's totally legitimate business. You have a good time.
Nice.
Yes. No,
what Desmond says is that they paid Sunspot like $20,000. They gave Sunspot $200 or whatever.
Right. That's what the book said.
$18,000.
Yeah, totally.
I actually used to be an anti-money laundering guy.
18 clean, right?
Shit.
Right.
One of my hats was anti-money laundering.
Okay, well, John, now we know to run anything past John.
Right.
But we're curious about.
And it's funny that Dan. Okay, so it probably was Dan Pyro that told us about this.
It was Dan. I know it was him.
Because like 6 months before, we played with his band at the Mercury Underground or Mercury Lounge. I mean, it was in Greenwich Village.
Underground, yeah.
Oh, Mercury Lounge.
And it was
remember.
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, super fun place. Like that night, I remember Wendy and I.
Mercury Lounge.
Wendy and I drank so much Mad Dog 2020. Ben is
First of all,
past-
wait, you just said Mad Dog 2020.
Oh yeah.
Give me a minute.
We didn't want to pay New York. Like we weren't
Oh my
rolling
God.
in. We weren't rolling in the money at the time, so we couldn't afford like New York drink prices because we knew like a mixed drink's $10, a beer's gonna be 5 to 7. And like now you're like, that's fine. If you get a craft beer, that's 6.5% or whatever. But we couldn't afford $6 for a Miller Lite at the time.
No.
And so we bought a bunch of Mad Dog 2020 to like have with us. And then we get back to the hotel, and then Ben passes out. After we take a cab with all of our equipment from the hotel to the place, and then back, and then back to the club, and then Ben passes out, and one day I just weren't tired, and we just drank like 2 bottles of Mad Dog 2020 and jumped on the bed until 4 o'clock in the morning.
We were like, we're in New York City.
And Dan, that night ended up giving us a great connection to the fucking. He's like, you got to play at Desmond's, man.
Yeah.
Because you can launder their money.
Yeah.
Where was Desmond's? Do you remember?
Oh, we can look it up. Let's see. Oh, actually, I'll follow up with you on that, John.
Okay.
I have it in our little spreadsheet, but I don't want to leave the Zoom meeting right now.
And so we'll have to get going in a minute here, but it's been a really fun time hanging out with everybody. For those of you guys who have never joined us on a Zoom hangout before or whatever, thank you so much for hanging out.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Also, I know it's kind of hard to get a word in edgewise, so if anybody had something important or big they wanted to say, speak now or forever hold your peace.
So was it Desmond's Tavern and Irish Pub?
Yeah.
Yes,
At
it was.
433 Park Avenue, New York, New York.
Is it still there?
There's a Facebook page for it.
Well, shit, we should go back.
Nice.
Patreon
It's
road
gonna maybe
trip.
disappear.
We should all go back. Well,
Yes.
we'll see.
Actually, all the people here, we could fit in the van. Oh my God. With the trailer. Like, yeah, we could fit right here.
We could scoop up the Minnesotans and then head down to Illinois and get Chelsea and Tim, and then we could
we just drive through NJ on the way back, or we just have John meet us because he's probably like 45 minutes away or whatever.
we gotta get Chuck in Louisville.
You gotta loop all the way down to.
Oh,
that's worth it. That's totally worth it.
The South is where we pick up the cheap. The South is where we get the cheap gas and booze on the way.
Right.
I guess it's cheap everywhere right now.
So, dude, like the thing is, like we had to cancel our South by Southwest trip, right?
Oh my God.
Which is where we're planning like on gas and expenses and everything.
And our showcase was on my birthday.
Right. Right.
Oh.
And then we had a paranormal event the next day with a cool podcast down there and like a whole thing. Greg Lawson, the paranormal detective, hooked us up. Like it was all gonna be fucking sweet. And then it's all gone to shit. And who knows?
All
what's gonna
gone.
happen next year. But the thing is, like gas this year, like if we could have gone to South by Southwest,
oh my God,
we could have driven to Texas for like the money you find in your couch.
I'm not even kidding you. I would do this New York trip. Like, if gas prices stay the way they are, like, we're coming to get you guys.
Yeah, and you take the rest of us with you. We'll chip in for gas.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember
it's 15 people,
BP
so we can still.
BP is giving a first responder discount right now. So as a first
take Lisa.
responder, I just filled up my entire truck. I got a full-size truck. I filled up my entire truck from empty for $15.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And you're a first responder too, huh?
I am, yes. I work for the sheriff's department around here. So
That's right.
Gosh, well, cheers to you.
Yeah,
Thank
Here,
you.
and here's the thing, is that we bring the first responders. That means chances of us dying are way less.
Oh my God. It's still people who are responsible.
That's our plan.
Okay, wait. I don't know.
ID, you'll be fine. We'll keep rolling down the road. We'll be fine.
But the thing is, like, I remember the first time I saw over $2 of gas is we were actually coming back from Baltimore, and we were driving in the middle of the night, and it's 2000 or whatever, and we're driving through downtown Chicago, and we see like a sign off the side of the road that was $2. We listened to Art Bell.
Nice.
And it was $2.02 gas. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, if that becomes the standard everywhere, we're never going to be able to tour in our fucking life. You know, and you're like, well, you had to deal with it, right? Like that's.
Mike, I remember when moonshine
I
was
know.
only
I
5
know.
cents.
I get it. I get it. My balls have sagged to my ankles. And it's not because they're big and sweet. It's because they're old and sag.
I remember before the war.
Right. Before the war, the grandmother and I used to tie onions to our belts, as was the fashion at the time.
I haven't gotten gas in over a month because I work from home now, so I haven't.
Yep.
I'm just going to the store, which I can see from my house and back. Like,
yeah, it was interesting. I'm looking at buying a different car later this year, and this work from home is doing great things for the longevity of my current car because I'm not taking it anywhere.
Yeah.
I lost my fucking keys. So I can't drive anywhere.
Shocking.
wait, didn't you say you got the tracker? Or
Yeah,
you were going to get the tracker?
Well, our guitar player dropped by and he dropped by like keys and stuff like that so I can make copies of things. And so, but the thing is I had to order new like transponder keys, and I had to order new like fobs and shit like that. And so they all haven't arrived yet because the only thing that's coming to, like when you order something off Amazon now, it's like May 11th.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like prime my ass. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is like, he is fucking Scrooge McDuck.
I was just gonna say that.
I
was gonna use it as a verb to say Scrooge McDucking.
Yeah, he's just fucking. He's like, I'm the richest man in the world. What have I got?
I like how he was Irish right there.
Well, I'm thinking about Scrooge McDuck. I'm thinking about David Tennant. David Tennant plays the new Scrooge McDuck in the new DuckTales.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
Oh, that should be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I work for a local correction. I work for the jail locally. So I have to order all of our supplies and everything, and we're using Amazon a ton right now because they're the only ones that can get anything.
Really?
We actually have our inmates making masks for the community, the surrounding community.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, oh yeah, let's get fabric, let's get thread and stuff like that. And I'm trying to. I spent an hour and a half trying to find thread on Amazon, and it was like, yeah, we'll have it to you by June 1st.
That's not gonna help us.
Thread.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right now.
I've got to make these. I got to make these felons work in like 2 days. What am I gonna do? Like if they don't have their thread, they're gonna fucking kill each other with those pins.
Were you able to find some?
I'm just telling them that they're staying until we can get the material. Sorry, your sentence has been extended. That's all I'm doing.
That's it. I mean, obviously, it's a gross violation of their constitutional rights. That's what we do now.
Oh, man.
It's an emergency. It's an emergency. It's all fine now, as long as I say it's an emergency first.
Right.
Plus, it's totally the in thing to do during quarantine. Everyone's making masks.
It's so true. Yes.
Are
you making masks, Sharon?
No, I don't have a sewing machine.
Oh, I haven't made any yet either. But
I had my sister make masks. Sandy made masks for me and Rick.
Oh, that's nice.
I have an American flag mask that I wore it to voting day when they made us vote or whatever.
That's very patriotic of you.
And I'm like, and actually, the funny, like the girl was at that, my poll work or whatever, because I had to register that day too. She's like, "Hey, did you wear that mask just for today?" And I'm like, "America, fuck yeah."
Yes.
Yeah, of your many masks that you already had set away.
Right.
I'm like,
personally, I like wearing the bandana along with the cowboy hat. I feel like that gives me a certain
outlaw.
Bit of like, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Find random tumbleweeds just crossing your path.
And I'm like, I'm gonna get your groceries.
Right. Are you here to rob the bank, or are you here to wipe your ass.
And they're not random.
A little of both.
She has me precede her like a flower girl. So,
Give me all your unmarked bills and also 3 rolls of toilet paper.
Anything. Anything besides the leaves I've been using.
Bills uses toilet paper.
I've been using cigarette paper.
Did we ever think we were
Rolling
desperate for toilet paper?
Right?
It's just mind-boggling. It really is. It's so weird.
just imagine us from January looking at us today.
Yeah, I'm in space.
So flush with toilet paper that long.
So I'm telling you, I'm down in my basement right now. I'm down in my basement rec room, and I still have it decorated for St. Patty's Day. That's how far behind.
Oh, it looks good.
My rec room is a time capsule right now before the corona.
It's
I was
like
hoping
Mount
you'd get a-
Vesuvius. It's like when they talk about Mount Vesuvius, it's like the world stopped for those people or whatever. And so like whatever they were doing when the volcano happened, that's your rec room right now. So like in 1,000 years, they're gonna be like, we came down this guy's rec room and I guess he likes shamrocks and shit. I don't know.
Doesn't have any toilet paper though.
The shamrocks must have been part of his religion. Must have been very near and dear to him.
We should get a do-over though for St. Patty's Day. I mean, come on.
Yeah, of course.
St. Patty's Day Part 2.
Seriously.
Part 2.
There's going to be a gigantic St. Patty's Day, Easter, 4th of July, Halloween party whenever this is all over, right?
All the birthdays too.
I totally said we're going to throw the best St. Patty's Day Cinco de 4th of July party ever.
I just hope we're all back by then. You know, like we're all hoping it's all back by then and it gets taken care
No,
of.
but the point is, it's going to be whenever it happens.
Everything. Any holiday we pass, we're just going to add it onto the list, and it's going to be a whole week of we're just celebrating.
Yeah.
I love it.
I can't wait for Arbor Day. I'm gonna fucking.
I'm going to be drunk.
If the bars are open by September, there's an Irish bar in Minneapolis that besides their St. Patrick's Day, which they didn't have this year, which was weird, they are always September 17th, the weekend closest to that, do the halfway to St. Patty's Day.
What's the bar?
The Keegan's Irish Pub.
Okay. One down in Minneapolis?
With Photo and Certix.
Cool.
So I drank there once or
Yeah,
twice.
she said Minneapolis.
You know what bar I kind of was missing lately from Minneapolis? Number one, the Terminal. For some reason, I love the Terminal bar. I just love the Terminal bar.
Oh,
I
fucking dive. It's awesome.
Wendy, what was that place we used to play at? That was like the coolest bar.
The Uptown?
Yes, I fucking love that bar.
Yeah,
like
sweet.
so many good times and shows at that bar. But I was missing Brits, a bar that's still open downtown Minneapolis. I love Brits. We used to go for the tea. We'd go there on New Year's Eve because they would have a Beatles tribute band, and the first set would be like Ed Sullivan Beatles. The second set would be Rubber Soul Beatles. The third set would be Sgt. Pepper Beatles. And they're just like a fucking great band. Like, and you just go there and you could just jam the Beatles songs. It'd be fucking stupid.
Last year at Convergence, it moved downtown now, and I got to take a British guy and eat Brits.
Oh, that'd have been sweet.
Oh, nice.
And then the next morning for breakfast, I got to take a priest of
this sounds like a joke.
brother.
Yeah, priest, a rabbi.
The Franciscan monks or whatever, the brothers, the ones that the Pope is. Blanking on which Catholic they are.
Is he a
But I got to
Franciscan?
take
He
a-
might be Dominican.
I got to take a priest who works at the Vatican to Hell's Kitchen.
Nice.
Oh, well, that's a quality brunch.
It is. It is. He loved it.
That's a quality brunch.
Yeah, it sounded like the beginning of a bad joke. An atheist.
You're gonna lose me, I think.
Into a bar. Into Hell's Kitchen.
All right. Well, we gotta get rolling anyway. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight. And if this is your first time, we look forward to next month. Maybe we'll join us in the Facebook group. We put up like some paranormal articles and have a conversation, and we'll have more talk. And maybe we'll talk about some movies and stuff like that we can all watch for next month.
Yeah. A lot of times we have a movie of the month.
Yeah. The thing is, in Wisconsin, we're stuck inside till the 26th. They said like no Labor Day, no Memorial Day bullshit for you guys. And so we're inside for another month. And whatever happens, stay safe, stay healthy. Most importantly, stay positive, because the best thing we can do is keep our friends and sanity and all those kind of things during a super weird time. But either way, we'll all get together in a month and talk about this shit together. And if we got a bitch for an hour, we got a bitch for an hour, and it's okay too.
And join us on, we'll be around before the month is over too. So like Mike said, in the Facebook group, anytime, or feel free to contact us individually too. But the Facebook's the Patreon
easiest way,
fun and easy way for everybody to keep in touch with each other. So please do. We love you guys.
Yeah, it really is fun. And so let's have some more fun in a little bit.
And thank you.
And we'll see you guys online on Thursday. We got some other songs we're putting up. And when you guys have requests, stick them in the group or send us emails so we have ideas of songs to work on during the week. And if we can figure it out, sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. But either way, we're going to work on figuring out more stuff because we're stuck inside. So let's make sure we make the best of it.
And we'd rather play songs that you guys want to hear
than just shit like we're like, well, here's a wall. Let's throw something at it.
I'm on fire, man. We got to hear some I'm on fire.
Ooh.
Oh, I was just talking. We were talking to a reporter about that song today because they were wondering about things that had canceled because of the coronavirus. And we had planned, so at Broadfest this year, we were going to open for Boba Flex and then Skid Row at Broadfest. And then that got canceled. And so what we were going to do is we were going to launch, speaking of New Jersey bands.
Yes. Well, Snake Sabo, he grew up in my town.
Awesome. And so we were going to debut our video that night for I'm on Fire and have that be so we were going to take April to work on that video and then have that launch in May as the new single. So now we have to think of a new time for that and stuff like that when it comes out. So I don't know if we can do it. Maybe we can figure out an acoustic version of that. I don't know if we're that badass yet, though.
It
might
not be that great.
We'll try anything.
I still want to hear Ben's solo for Neanderthal on the tuba.
Okay, we'll put the request in.
We'll send that to Ben tonight. Yeah. And he'll probably be like, hey, that sounds good. Fuck you guys, but that sounds good.
Figure it out.
Either way, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and we'll see you all very soon, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Have a great
Bye. I don't know how. Oh, there, leave. Okay, bye.
Bye.